On Friday, February 18th, I dropped my second release of the year called Dark When We Were Young.
Just like when we were young.
Now, Dark When We Were Young is a 3-song EP, and it's the second Waterfall release that I have dropped this year, in a year that I'm planning to do multiple Waterfall releases throughout the year. So in this video, we're going to take a look at how this release went. We're going to break down the data, the results, and I'm going to explain how I allocated my money and why things played out the way that they did. Now, if you're new here, my name's Tom, and on this channel, we talk about music marketing, branding, NFTs, and more. Everything we need to know to move from making music as a hobby to making music as a business. And today we're going to break down the data for my release, Dark When We Were Young. Now, Dark When We Were Young has a lot of good data built into it because every song has already been technically released already. But what we're going to focus on in this video is the very first week of release and our attempt to trip the release radar algorithm on Spotify. So let's dig into it. So the first place I want to start is with my spreadsheet here. This spreadsheet is where I keep track of all of my release data, and this is the tab for Dark When We Were Young. The first thing I want to point out is the popularity score, and I really want to focus on week 1 here. So if we look at these columns, this is where we're going to be looking mostly. This is the popularity score for the first track on the album called Shade. And as you can see, by the end of the first week, we only got to a popularity score of 7. What we want to get to is a popularity score of 20, because when we get to 20, our odds of tripping the release radar algorithm 1 week after the release of the song, or in this case, songs, is really good. So 7 is very clearly shy of 20, which is what we want. If we come down to the Wolves, you can see we only got to 5 here. And then the title track, When We Were Young, we only got to 10. So this is a problem. We weren't able to drive enough traffic to the songs to get any of them to increase in popularity. And for comparison, let's take a look at Dark to the Wolves. Now you can see this was the first Waterfall release of the year. Shade came out for the very first time on this release, but To the Wolves came out for the second time on this release. So if we look at the popularity score here, we were able to get Shade up to 14. We were able to get To the Wolves up to 17 on this one. So we got pretty close. Okay, so we didn't get the streams we wanted. Let's take a look at Spotify for Artists, and we'll see how the streams sort of played out within the first week of each of these releases so that we can compare. So first of all, here in Spotify for Artists, the good news. These are the last 2 releases I've dropped. This is Dark to the Wolves here and Dark When We Were Young here. Now, the cool thing about this is because all of these songs have been released previously, there's already data built in because the ISRC codes are matching up because I am doing a Waterfall release. So the day any of these releases come out, there's already a bunch of data already built into them. They're already on playlists. They're already saved in users' libraries. They're already getting streams. For Dark to the Wolves, you can see over the last 28 days, we've gotten about 3,000 streams. 617 for Shade, 2393 for To the Wolves. If you go up to Dark When We Were Young, you can see the exact same numbers are here for Shade, 617, and To the Wolves, 2393. But then we've got this data for When We Were Young, 2,177 streams, for a combined total of 5,187 streams. So we're just stacking data. Every time we drop a new song in this Waterfall format, we're stacking data into this release. But that doesn't mean we don't still have to get a good push in the first week to get that release radar pump. And that's what we're kind of after here. So if we go through to Dark When We Were Young specifically, I've got the date range set for all of 2022 at this point. So this starts on January 1st, 2022, all the way until today. And this first bump here, you can see, is where I released Dark to the Wolves in January. I dropped that Friday, January 21st, and I had a good first week, but just didn't quite get the job done because of the way I structured my budget. And then if you come a little further down, you can see this is where I released Friday, February 18th, Dark When We Were Young. This push was not nearly as good, not even close. And we'll get into that in a minute in Facebook ads, and I'll explain why that was. But you can see that all of this data from the previous release is already built into Dark When We Were Young because Shade and To the Wolves are already on this. And because I've built in all the data from 3 now previously released songs into this Waterfall release, this release, after 2 weeks out, has 86,000 streams already built into it. Now, unfortunately, in terms of algorithmic traffic on Spotify, these 86,000 streams didn't happen within the first 2 weeks of this being dropped. Otherwise, we would have blown the roof off of this, but that wasn't the case. So now that we've checked out this data breakdown, we've looked at the spreadsheet, we've looked at Spotify for Artists, it's time to hop into Facebook ads so that I can really show you where things went wrong with this and how I tried to fix it and what I'm continuing to do to try to fix it. Before we get into the Facebook ads portion of this release, I want to talk about conversions on Facebook specifically for running ads to Spotify. Now, as most of you may know, if you're watching this video, last summer, Apple rolled out iOS 14, and it was a huge update to how websites can track users across websites. Facebook's Pixel has been affected by this. We've had to jump through all kinds of hoops to keep conversions working, but for the most part, they have continued to work until recently. Starting about 2 or 3 months ago, I began hearing from a ton of artists. Artist after artist has come to me saying that my conversion costs have shot through the roof and I can't get it down. No matter what I try, all the old tricks are not working. And so I have done my best to try to figure this out for people, but it had yet to affect me until I dropped Dark When We Were Young. When I dropped this release, my conversion costs began to skyrocket. And the sort of TLDR version of this is that Facebook has encountered a fundamental issue with the way their Pixel is working and the way that it is tracking data from websites. The data is misreporting. It's not accurate. In some cases, in my case, I have seen conversions that have been higher than the number of link clicks actually going through to the landing page. So a user is able to click the link and then click the conversion button multiple times. And so you'll get 500% conversions per link click, which obviously doesn't add up and is useless data effectively. So it's become a lot more of a crapshoot, and a lot more luck has been involved in getting your conversions to work. So having said all that, let's take a look at how this played out for me with Dark When We Were Young. So on the left here, you can see I have multiple ad campaigns, and the date range that I have selected is from January 1st all the way through Thursday, February 17th. So this includes my first release, Dark to the Wolves, but does not include any data from Dark When We Were Young. And you can see that my cost per conversion for Dark to the Wolves was 21 cents. And my average cost per conversion in my Spotify growth campaign that's been ongoing was 17 cents. Then if we click through here, you can see that I tested this ad set for Dark to the Wolves before release to get an idea of which ads would work best, and that was converting at 15 cents. After that, I determined the best ad from the release campaign, pulled it back in to this ad set, and that converted at 15 cents per conversion. So everything went pretty well for Dark to the Wolves. I just didn't spend enough money in the first 3 days to get it to work. But it was not a systemic issue on Facebook's conversion reporting. Now let's fast forward to this release. So we'll start with Friday, February 18th, and we'll go through today, March 9th. In this time period, you can see my cost per conversion skyrocketed for basically no reason. Obviously, this is a different campaign here for Dark When We Were Young, but the ad structure, the song type, the genre, all relatively similar, all pretty much the same. I'm targeting the same people. I make the same kind of music. I am the same as an artist. Not a whole lot has changed. But you come in here and you can see that the cost per conversion is just crap. 46 cents, 59 cents, when I was averaging 15 cents for the ad for the release before that, and 21 cents inside the release campaign. And then going to Spotify for Artists and looking at the data, you can see that because of the conversion cost, I just wasn't driving enough traffic to Spotify to get enough streams to move the needle at all on the popularity score and subsequently on the algorithmic traffic opportunities for Release Radar. So what I did is, because the cost per conversion was so bad, I switched this over to a traffic campaign. My big fundamental flaw here is that inside of this traffic campaign, I had not done my research with the countries that behave differently for traffic ads as opposed to conversion ads. And so I had a couple of countries in there that do well with conversions, but do very, very poorly with traffic. And they ate up my budget and did not drive enough traffic to Spotify, which is why we see that dip after that first weekend, ultimately leading to me not getting enough results for this release. But as you can see here, if I go into my Spotify traffic campaign, which has now replaced my conversion growth campaign, and I have been running this ever since, we look at these two ad sets for Dark When We Were Young, you can see that I split things up into tiers. I removed the problem countries, and the cost per click became reasonable. 17 cents, 10 cents, 21 cents, 11 cents. Now, obviously, the tier 1 didn't really get much traffic, and that's because of how I structured this. But the cost per click for this stuff was really good. And if you compare it to the cost per click on an overall basis for everything for the lifetime of campaigns this year, you can see just how much cheaper these two traffic campaigns were compared to, let's say, the young Dark When We Were Young release campaign. 47 cents per click for that, and now 21 cents and 18 cents once I switch to traffic. So what's the takeaway here? The takeaway here for me is that conversion ads have become far more about luck in the implementation because of the inability for Facebook to accurately report the data. In some instances, it's over-reporting the number of conversions. In other instances, it is driving costs up to $1, $2 without the ability to come down. Now, my targeting hasn't changed. My ad account hasn't changed. All the things I've been doing for the past 18 months that have been working like clockwork, none of that has changed. But for whatever reason, this campaign could not find my audience because it could not hone in on who was converting, who was clicking the button, and what that person looked like, what that avatar of a user was. It's not able to grab enough data to pull it in to then recycle that data and go out and find more of it as efficiently as it used to be able to do. So I have switched exclusively to traffic campaigns at this point, and this is a very big reason why. Now, having said that, I'm still figuring out the differences between what works with traffic versus what has worked with conversions. But the good news is I am very close to figuring out precisely what works inside of this new traffic campaign. In fact, this new traffic campaign has been working great for me. If anything, it has been working better over the past few weeks. I have seen the number of followers I'm getting on a daily basis actually increase compared to my conversion growth campaign. And I am seeing far more relationship between the people who are clicking on Facebook and the countries where they're listening on Spotify. That data is connecting much better than it was towards the end of my conversion campaign. So this campaign was, let's just call it a failure. It didn't work very well. But because of this, I've now made adjustments, and I'm planning to test a traffic release campaign for my next release to see how that goes. So that's it for this one. If you have any questions about this, make sure to let me know in the comments, share your thoughts so others can see. And if you want to get into a discussion with myself or with other people from this channel community, join the DuPree X Discord. I'll leave a link in the description of this video. Come hang out. It's free to join. We'd love to see you there. Talk music marketing, talk NFTs, talk whatever you want to talk about. And let's help each other build as musicians and marketers. Now, before I let you go, if you don't subscribe to the channel, make sure to hit that subscribe button. And at the end here, got a couple more videos you can check out. And as always, thanks for watching, and I'll catch you on the next one. Peace.